Hello.
Very nice.
Smart child.
Today we're going to talk about inequalities. Inequalities have great value, and I want to tell you, you use them all the time. If you say, Mom, I want to go to the movies.
I want to go to the movies.
Stop. And Mom says, here's $20.
Yes.
So you go to the movies, and it costs $7.50 to go to the movies.
She gives you how much money?
You go get your girlfriend.
What if you're lonely?
You're too young to have a girlfriend.
No, you're not.
Shh. So you spend $7, which leaves $7.50, which leaves you $12.50, and you have to be able to purchase popcorn, soda, candy, whatever it is you want. But can you spend more than $20 total?
No.
Why?
Because
you only have $20. Real life is mostly an inequality. You have this much money, you can spend up to it or less than it, but you can't spend more than it. Okay?
Got it.
You could cook stuff in water, but the water must be more than 32 degrees. Because at 32 degrees, it's ice. So there's a range where you can cook in the water. So we're going to look at inequalities, and they really work exactly the same as equations. This is literally a follow-on lesson to equations with one exception. One exception. Everything we have in here is exactly the same except one thing. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the sign. But if you follow these rules, the odds of having to multiply or divide by a negative number are greatly reduced. In fact, sometimes in order to make you do it, I'll have to set a question up where all you have to do is that part. Because I'm forcing you to flip the sign.
That's easy peasy. I wish I had one.
So the only thing different, we will do every step exactly the same. The only thing different is when we get to a negative and we divide or multiply by a negative, not add or subtract, we divide or multiply, then we flip the sign. The sign is the greater than or less than sign.
Oh, this is the part I thought of.
So let's look at this first problem here. And by the way, you'll notice that I manipulated this problem to force us to do something naughty. Now, the first step is, do we have any parentheses brackets?
No.
Do we have like terms on the left side?
Yes.
What
No.
like terms?
Yes.
Negative 2D and negative.
So we got two sets of D's here on this side, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring this 2D over, so minus 2D. So it goes 50. What's negative 3D minus 2D?
5D.
Come on, you guys. A negative plus a negative. The answer stays negative. Add them together.
Negative plus a negative, that's
Negative 5D.
A negative plus a negative is still a negative.
Wait, why
Why are you doing a negative? It's the 2 is a negative.
3D or negative.
Negative 3D
Alright, I'm already.
minus 2D.
I get
No,
it.
but
Equals
there's
negative
it's a
5D.
Negative 2.
I boy now.
Yeah, and negative 3D. I thought you put
Because both numbers are negative,
You're adding.
Oh, because
We're in math class. Let's go.
so we end up with a negative 5D.
so 50.
We bring down the symbol, which is the less than, and we put 30 on the other side.
So wait, I got a question. Is that all you have to do?
No.
Easy.
So would you just like
Shh. I need you guys to start raising your hand to ask questions. A lot of you just talk through it. Yes, ma'am.
Is it the same thing, just the equal sign up there? Just the,
Yeah. The less than or greater fills the same spot.
So we could draw a fence still?
We are about to draw the fence.
Oh, okay, I get it.
So I'm going to draw my fence. Because I'm at that point where I brought things together on both sides. Now I'm ready to move things left and right. The fence tells me it's time to move things left and right. So I've got negative 5D on this side. Do I have a variable on the right side?
No.
No, so I can skip that step. What's the next step following the sheet?
Move the 50 over to
What's the next step following?
If there's a constant on the same side as the constant and
If you don't have a pencil out, and you're not occasionally looking at that blue sheet, this is going to be very tough. So your blue sheet, what's the next part? Do I have a constant with a variable?
Yes.
Do I have a constant with this variable?
Yes.
So how do I get it to the other side? Add the opposite. So I minus 50 from both sides. That goes around. Now, don't drop off your negatives here. 5D stays the same. The sign stays the same. What's 30 minus 50?
Negative 20.
Negative 20.
No, you have to.
No, you gotta divide.
Yes, sir.
You divide by.
Do we have a number other than 1 as a coefficient?
Yes.
Yeah, we got negative 5. D has a coefficient of negative 5. The coefficient is the number with the variable. So we got to divide both sides by negative 5. Now here's the important point. The minute we do that, we got to flip the sign to go the other way.
So, wait, why do you flip this out?
Because we divided by a negative.
So
If you divide or multiply by a negative number, you must flip the sign.
So you don't do it once it's positive?
If you're doing divide by a positive 5 or no. The only thing different in inequalities is if you divide by or multiply by a negative, you must flip the sign.
Only flip it when it's a negative.
Only when you're dividing or multiplying by negative. Only those two functions. So what? Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. So that just brings down D. What's negative 20 divided by negative 5?
4.
What is a negative divided by a negative?
Positive.
A positive. So that, I'm going to lose my negative signs, right? Now I'm down to 20 divided by 5.
4.
So in my problem, D must be greater than 4.
Yes.
Now, to test your problem, you can use your calculator. But you've got to do some special buttons, and I'd bring your calculator over. I'm sorry.
I'm not. Is that considered football?
I don't know.
No.
Football's not stupid. I'm sorry. It's not.
Okay.
Wait, how do you
Football
flip
can do this.
Whoops.
And solve doesn't
it?
work.
Mommy said it's something else.
Sing it.
What the heck?
I tried.
Oh, I found
Oh,
it.
I'm in the wrong thing.
I'm smart.
So I got it wrong, but I did it right.
You don't use insult.
Okay.
What would you do?
You want to scratch?
B.
So I'm in my scratch pad right now. I want you to notice at the equals sign here, right above it, do you see the little orange characters, including the less than or greater than? So we want a sign that's less than. So let's type in 2. What did we say D was?
4.
So negative 2. Negative 2. Remember that negative comes off here. Plus 50. Oh, sorry. Negative 2D. I forgot the D. So negative 2 times, we said D was 4, right? I can stick, by the way, I can stick in parentheses or I can multiply it.
Hold on.
Negative 2 times 4 plus 50.
Heck? Wait,
I have a
what
question.
did you do?
You just said divide.
Wait, what? I'm lost.
Yes, ma'am.
Me?
Yes.
I don't know how to get on not insult.
Just
Hit-
delete the stuff.
Hit escape. And then doc B. Or hit delete and go
I
back.
think I got it.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am?
So instead of doing the multiplication sign, can you just put a parenthesis?
Yeah. The calculator recognizes anything stuck in parentheses next to a number as a multiplication. Okay, so negative 2 times 4, because we said D was 4, plus 50, minus 3 times D, which is 4, right? And now my problem says it's less than, so I'm going to hit the control key and the equal sign. It'll bring me up a little sub-menu. So it brings me up a little sub-menu, and I'm going to look for the less than sign, which is right there. Right? Less than 30. Now, it's going to say false right now. Why is it going to say false?
Because it's wrong.
You have to change the sign. Flip the sign.
Nope, hold on.
It's still wrong.
D has to be what?
Greater than.
Greater than 4. We made D 4.
Yeah.
So honestly, you can pick any number you want now, greater than 4. I'm just going to pick 5 and try it out. So negative 2 times 4 5, thank you. 5 plus 50 minus 3 times 5. Use your control key to get your symbols, do your less than, 30, enter, and now it's true. You could have picked 4.000001, and it would have been true.
I have a question. So if our answer is that D is greater than 4, or would we...
Our answer is D is greater than 4. This equation is true anytime D is greater than 4. Does that make sense? So any number, as long as we put D in here and D is greater than 4, the equation works every time.
So if we would have put like 3 or 2 or something...
It would come up false because you could have put 4.000001 because that is greater than 4, isn't it?
Yes.
Only 0.00001 greater, but we don't care. It's still greater. So what I want you to do in your groups is I want you to work through the next 3 problems and talk them through.
Hey!
Okay, I want to start. Can I start?
It's up to you guys.
Okay, I want to start.
So, you're gonna...
Green, you can do 2, and I'll do 3.
All right, so you got to talk through it. I'm not worried about you getting them done. What are you doing?
What is it?
You're gonna do negative... So,
Green round. It helps you to understand.
You're talking your problems through.
Okay,
Not just doing it, you're talking it through.
now what do I do?
Okay, we'll try with each other.
This can be the same.
It's different because there's not a variable on that side.
Well, then you can skip that step.
Okay.
I never did variable first. I always did the constant.
I don't care what talking in order you're trying. You just trust your hands on here and you'll surrender.
So then you have negative 40, that's subtract.
Yeah, equals negative 25.
No parentheses.
Okay, so then you subtract.
No, look. So I actually positive.
No.
This time's supposed to be
Yeah, it's the same
Do the
positive.
other one. You said that you don't do one.
Huh?
Do the other one. Don't do 44.
You gotta bring down the 25 age.
25. Wait, there's
minus
no
84.
You gotta bring it down to here to
Add the opposite. Make it bigger. You're at the point where you put a fence up.
Okay, so then you 40,
Oh.
right?
Negative 40.
Do 84, not 44. Subtract 84.
Why?
Wait.
It's one step.
Negative minus positive. This is the opposite. No, it's supposed to, yeah, negative is greater. No, positive. The 84, you're supposed to convert it to negative.
Okay,
It's supposed to be the opposite of 84. Not being negative. It's 84 is positive.
1.6. Wait, what is it?
Remember,
It's negative 44.
What?
Yeah,
simplify.
it's negative 4. It's negative 4.
Fractions are fine, just simplify. Can you simplify that?
Do you bring down your
They're both
84?
divisible by 5. You can simplify that.
Wait.
What?
Negative 8
Yeah, it's negative.
No, do you bring down this 84 down here?
You do the same thing on that side.
Are you joining in?
It's the same steps. Just don't worry about the sign.
Okay, so. Okay, one, why do you have your fence over there? Why do you put your fence at the minus sign instead of the fence? Okay, you're fine. I see what you did. Just put the fence erected weird. Okay, so going
Oh,
from here,
yeah.
it's
No, I
negative
got
40
it.
is greater than negative 25H, right?
Okay, now what?
So now what do you do?
No, let me think.
You can't, you're not moving
I'm not
anything.
thinking.
It hasn't gotten us that
Right,
far.
Move, on the one side you've got numbers and variables, right? On the other side you've got constant.
Now you divide.
Go ahead.
When you
Right?
do 25 divided by 40.
You divide by the coefficient, the number with the variable. What number's with the variable right now?
Let me see.
No,
Wait, 40.
not.
Wait, I have to
What number's
simplify
with the coefficient?
Oh.
What? The coefficient is the number with the variable.
Oh.
What number's with the variable, tell 'em. Are you sure? How about, what number do you see with the variable? It's not 25. Negative 25 is right. So now you're
I don't
dividing
know
by
what
that,
40
right?
divided by.
If you divide by a negative number, what do you gotta do?
I already tried.
No.
Negative 40 divided by
Sign.
negative.
We'll turn that into a positive, but remember to flip
It's
the
negative.
sign.
Okay, got it.
8/6. Keep fractions.
Oh.
So let's do 8/6.
Okay, so that.
That's what that said before.
Don't convert the fraction to a decimal. Fractions are fine.
Fractions are fine.
Okay, is that it?
Oh yeah, it's 8/5.
Wait. Can we check it?
You divide.
But this you right?
Why are you adding?
Pretty sure the
You
sign flipped.
cannot just add away the number.
See, it was greater than I
You have to divide by it. Yeah, but
So
not
it's right?
simplify.
It should be.
Alright,
This is modular like double that.
Sit up, or I'll put you on a stool.
This is so tough.
I understand it.
Mr. Wheeler, how do you simplify it?
Well, if you got 40/25, right? Are each of those divisible by 5? So simplify. What's 40 divided by 5? Okay, what's 25 divided by 5? It's 8/5. No. 5 is the prime number. You can't go any lower than the prime number.
It's negative 2x. Negative 2x.
yeah, that's the way I help each other read it. So,
Ellen doesn't like her neighbor.
let's go down the chart. So
Okay, give me the razor. Give me the razor.
Just come on.
Yeah, 8/3.
Greater than or equal to.
Wait.
Keep it equal to.
Still, it's gonna equal.
actually, it'd be positive.
It's gonna be
Mr. Wheeler, is it like this? Actually, no, we're gonna subtract.
No, it's
H is greater than 8/5, right?
2 plus.
zero.
All right, most of you are working really good. I'm going to interrupt you with, and we're going to work through them together. So let's do number 1. Most of you had no problem with this at all. Number 1, it doesn't have any parentheses. Both sides are simplified right down to where you've got a constant and a variable, or in this case, just a constant, right? So we can fencify right now. We go to this point where we only have a variable on one side. We don't have to move variables. What is the opposite of 84?
Negative.
Negative. So we add the opposite, which is negative 84,
Both sides.
to both sides. This side it goes away. We bring down the negative 25h. Don't lose your negatives.
Negative 40,
And why do you say negative 40?
because 80 is 40, and it's split by 2, and the other hand
Right.
is 44.
The number farthest from 0 is negative 84. So we'll keep that sign and we'll subtract the other from it. So we come up with negative 40. Now, we're at that point where we've got a coefficient that's negative, right? So we're going to have to divide by a negative number. And the minute we have to do that, so I divide both sides by that coefficient. The minute I do that, I'm going to flip the sign and go the opposite way. Here it goes away. I end up with just h. Negative divided by a negative, what's it going to become?
Positive.
Positive, so I can just make those both positive. 40 divided by 25. Fractions are fine, but I can definitely simplify. To simplify a fraction means to find out what everything's divisible until one of them becomes a prime number. Yes, sir? So these are divisible by 5, aren't they? What is 40 divided by 5?
8.
And what's 25 divided by 5? 5. So my answer becomes h is greater than 8/5. Correct?
Yes.
So really, if I wanted to check, I could make this 10/5. Well, actually, h is greater than 8/5. Yes? So I can type in there an answer as long as h is always greater than 8 over 5. We can go on and check it. No problem. Let's go over here. Let's try this one. Again, same thing. I have a problem where it's been really cleaned up, and I'm forcing you to divide by a negative number. This is a forced problem. So I've come down, no brackets. I don't have anything. I don't have any like terms combined. I only have a variable on one side, so I come down to fencing it right away. I've got negative 2x plus 4 is greater than 18. How do I get this 4 to the other side?
You subtract.
I add the opposite, which is a negative 4, right? To both sides. So here, this goes away. I bring down the negative 2x. And that's greater than, what's 18 minus 4? 14. Now, the coefficient, is it something other than 1?
Yes.
So I have to divide by the coefficient. This coefficient happens to be a negative number, which is going to cause me to flip my sign. The minute I start dividing by a negative number, flip the sign. So they go away, x. What's 14 divided by negative 2? Negative 7. So x is less than negative 7. If you typed in negative 8 and tried this out, it would work and come true. Let's go to the very last problem. Now this one had a lot of stuff put into it, and it also had as a greater than or equal to sign. If you have a symbol, you can have less than, you can have greater than. You can have less than or equal to. And you can have greater than or equal to. Taking our movie example, if you go to the movies, everything must add up and be less than or equal to $20. Otherwise, you got to beg strangers for pennies, which is sad.
Has that ever happened?
So let's go over to our problem. Now, our problem started out, we don't have any parentheses, we don't have like terms on left or right. We can go ahead and fence up. But we do have variables on both sides. This is where taking the lesser variable is important. Which one of these, 11.25 or 10.75, is the lesser variable?
10.75.
So I can, I can subtract 10.75x from both sides, right?
Yes.
So this side, it goes away. I'm going to have greater than or equal to, and here's negative 12.5. That's what I brought down. What is 11.25 minus 10.75?
0.5.
Yeah, it's 0.5. And then I bring down my 20, minus 20. Oh, sorry, I forgot my x. Minus 20. So I've got 0.5x minus 20 is greater than or equal to negative 12.5. What's my next step?
Add the 20 to the other side.
Constants on the same time.
I got to get the constants to one side, right? What's the opposite of negative 20? So I'm going to add 20 to both sides. So I bring down my 0.5x. The 20s go away. It's greater than or equal to. What is negative 12.5 plus 20?
7.5.
7.5. Good so far? Is my coefficient something other than 1?
Yes.
So I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient. That one goes away. It becomes x is greater than or equal to
15.
7.5 over 0.5. What? Now, this one may require you to do some work. But I can make... What's up, ma'am?
Wait, can I say the answer?
Both of these you can see are divisible by 5, right? Everyone agree? So if I divide 7.5 and 0.5 by 5, that equals 1.5, right? Everyone agree?
Yes.
Over 0.1. Well, if I multiply both sides of this by 10, what am I going to have? So I times this side by 10 and this side by 10. Remember how we talked about getting rid of decimals? Because both of these are in the 10th spot, right? So what's 1.5 times 10?
15.
And what's 0.1 times 10?
1.
And anything over 1 is? It's just 15. So x is greater than or equal to 15. That one was great because we followed the rules which moved the lesser coefficient over, which saved us from the negative problem. You'll always do that. It will make your life happier. The times you need to look at when you're looking at problems that deal with greater than, less than, equal to, or greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, pay attention when they only have one variable on one side. Because what they're doing is they're forcing you to flip the sign, aren't they? They're just kind of ahead of time forcing you to flip the sign. Just be aware that you're going to flip the sign there. That is the only thing that changes between equations and inequalities, is that one thing. Inequalities are more truthful to life. When you go out to buy Christmas presents and your parents give you $100, can you spend more than $100?
Never.
What happens if you only spend 50 and you pocket 50?
You pocket 50.
Then you stole $50.
You stole $50. Your parents are going to find out at some point, and it's going to be a long conversation, ending with you losing your phone for some period of time.
Wait, how did they find out?
I wish I could pay the money back.
I would.
Because at your age you do stupid things, and I was there, so I recognize those stupid things from a distance. I already done them all.
Alright,
Yeah,
what did I
right.
do?
Okay. Any questions?
Question.
Thank you. Any questions about inequalities?